Tonight, worst fears confirmed as authorities give up hope for survivors of Flight 370.
This is 9 News with Peter Hitchner.
Good evening. More than 2 weeks after it vanished off radar screens, families are facing the awful reality that Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 is lost, and there were no survivors. The Malaysian Prime Minister confirmed their worst fears, saying the plane with 239 people on board had crashed into the southern Indian Ocean. Damien Ryan begins our coverage.
Hand in hand and a nod between them, a son and a sister of Rod and Mary Burrows bravely agree to share their grief.
Our family is trying to come to terms with this terrible tragedy. We dearly love and we'll miss our mum and dad.
The Brisbane grandparents were travelling with best friends Bob and Kathy Lawton. It was meant to be a dream holiday to China.
We're heartbroken this stage of their life has been cut short. They worked hard to reap the rewards of their retirement so they could travel and spend time with friends and family.
A neighbour of the Lawton family was left searching for a positive.
I suppose, at least for the family, it's, you know, it's dealing with one outcome as opposed to several possibilities that they were throwing out there.
The pain was felt around the world. 239 people lost, and our Prime Minister extended a nation's sympathy.
I offer my condolences to the people of all of the countries who have lost friends, relatives, loved ones in the MH370 tragedy. This has been a desperately difficult time.
China has been hardest hit, 153 victims, and the reaction in Beijing was a mixture of distress and anger. It was completely understandable. This woman lost 3 members of her family, her son, his wife and her grandchild. I beg you, she cries, it can't be like this. For some, the news they'd long dreaded had come via a text. Malaysian Airlines deeply regrets that we have to assume beyond any reasonable doubt that MH370 has been lost, it said. In Kuala Lumpur, it was left to the Malaysian Prime Minister to inform the rest of the world.
Flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
But where it actually crashed and why still remains a mystery. One of Britain's most reputable newspapers, the Daily Telegraph, today claimed it was an apparent suicide mission. But Malaysian investigators insist the focus is moving towards mechanical failure or a fire on board.
I don't want to speculate in terms of what happened to the aircraft. I think the investigation is ongoing. Okay, I think our focus is really for the family members.
But the airline is in crisis.
Will I resign?
Calls for the CEO to be sacked are getting louder, and still so many questions about the hunt for the aircraft. Despite solid evidence the plane had turned hard left, the authorities continued to search in the wrong place for more than a week. For some of the grieving families, that is unforgivable. Damien Ryan, 9 News.
And bad weather is stalling attempts to retrieve debris from the doomed flight. Today, the search had to be suspended, with rough seas causing frustrating delays. Simon Boder is at the Pearce Air Force Base outside Perth.
They're the front line of the search operation, but these planes are grounded, held up on the tarmac and unable to take off. Today, a rare chance to rest and a chance to assess the size of the task ahead.
I want to take the opportunity to publicly thank all of the crews and all of the teams that keep these planes flying.
The operation here remains one of the largest ever of its kind.
We're not searching for a needle in a haystack, we're still trying to define where the haystack is.
The last few days of searching have been relentless, but the teams are now buoyed by a potentially positive sighting from an Australian Orion.
Everyone is quite hyped. I think fatigue's starting to set in for the guys. We were going hammer and tongs there.
Several items were spotted in the water. What they are isn't yet clear, but smoke beacons and GPS positioners have been dropped, marking the debris location.
It's been the first time we've actually certified that we've seen something and got photographs.
HMAS Success was dispatched to retrieve the objects, but bad weather meant it had to turn around. It's now south of the search area. Also hampered by the hazardous conditions, a Chinese icebreaker. It too is on standby to find and pick up any possible debris. The trouble is, the ocean currents are so strong, any delays could be critical.
Every day that's been lost now means that it will be harder to track back where exactly the plane hit the water.
There are two main currents battering the Southern Ocean. Both will drive and drift the debris across large areas.
Because we don't have an exact map of how these currents move, they change all the time, we don't know exactly where they will move to.
If the search can resume tomorrow, it will be helped by the arrival of the Japanese Disaster Relief Team. It's a specialist unit skilled in managing emergencies. Its members, all experts at coordinating complex international affairs. Training, which will no doubt be tested in this increasingly difficult operation. At RAAF Pierce, Simon Boda, 9 News.